Worried about gout? Check out Ural, the effective urinary alkalinizer. Ural, neutralize your uric acid problem now.
This is Kini News and I'm your host Prasad. 4 years is a long time. To give you a perspective, Najib Abdul Razak was still Prime Minister 4 years ago. Remember that? So why is the police suddenly investigating a social media post older than 4 years? Kit Siang wants to know if it's inefficiency or just abuse of power.
Kulai MP Theoni Ching is being investigated by the police over a social media post she shared in 2017. Reacting to the investigation, DAP veteran Lim Kit Siang criticised and questioned the police motive. He urged Inspector General of Police Acryl Sani Abdullah Sani to explain whether this was a reflection of police inefficiency or abuse of power under Ismail Sabri Yaakob's government. The post in question was originally made by graphic artist Fahmi Reza. Theo shared it on her official Facebook page with the caption, quote, "Defend the freedom to express, freedom to be satirical." According to Theo, the probe is being conducted under Section 504 of the Penal Code. The police also probing the post under Section 233 of the Communications and Multimedia Act. She was questioned on Tuesday while being accompanied by her lawyer, Shahridzan Johan. In a separate statement today, DAP Youth called on the IGP to immediately drop the investigation against Theo.
Azam Baki, who previously told the nation at a press conference that he answers to no one except the MACC's advisory board, has been asked to show up at a PSC meeting next week.
MACC Chief Commissioner Azam Baki will be expected to make an appearance before the Parliamentary Select Committee on Agencies under the Prime Minister's Department during their meeting next week. This is according to PSC member Chan Fung Hin, who told Malaysia Kini that Dewan Rakyat Secretary Nizamuddin Bacha has written a letter ordering Azam to attend the meeting. He said as far as he knew, only Azam had been summoned to the PSC meeting. Meanwhile, another PSC member, William Leong, said the PSC report will be tabled to the Dewan Rakyat after the inquiry into Azam's share ownership is completed. The Selang MP was quoted by Sinar Harian as saying that the committee's report will be accessible to Malaysians. He added that any proposal related to the ownership of the shares can only be done after the inquiry. Yesterday, it was reported that the PSC will hold a special meeting next Wednesday to discuss Azam Baki's share ownership in 2 publicly listed companies. This came after several lawmakers demanded that the matter be referred to a parliamentary committee as MACC's oversight bodies failed to deal with the matter accordingly.
Is the government distributing aid to flood victims or campaigning for an election? Here's what Khalid Samad thinks.
Shah Alam MP Khalid Samad has criticised the government's approach in distributing aid to victims of the floods that hit several states recently. He said it appeared as if the government was campaigning for an election.
Kalau kita tengok sekarang ni pemberian yang diberikan, sumbangan yang diberikan oleh kerajaan kepada mangsa banjir memang nampak macam ianya satu kempen untuk nak hadapi pilihan raya. Petang tadi saya baru terlibat dalam satu majlis penyerahan sumbangan, bukan 2,000, bukan 1,000 daripada kerajaan negeri dan 1,000 daripada kerajaan persekutuan, tetapi 1,000 daripada kerajaan negeri dan 3,500 daripada kerajaan persekutuan, dengan janji 5,000 lagi akan datang.
Khalid said this during a virtual ceramah aired on Amanah's Facebook page on Wednesday night. Previously, the government announced a slew of aid measures to help lighten the burden of flood victims. This includes 1,000 ringgit cash for each family affected, 2,500 to buy household goods, 1,000 ringgit voucher to repair flooded vehicles, and 500 ringgit voucher to buy electrical goods. The government will also pay for repairs to homes, with families whose houses were not too badly damaged able to claim up to 5,000 ringgit in compensation. As for those whose homes suffered serious damages, the government itself will manage repairs with a cost of up to 15,000 ringgit. For homes that were destroyed or no longer occupiable after the floods, the government will provide up to 56,000 ringgit to build a new home.
It was reported that a large number of Malaysian pilgrims who went to Saudi Arabia to perform their Umrah were not vaccinated. A past leader has come out to say he's not one of them.
Environment and Water Minister Tuan Ibrahim Tuan Man has denied claims that he has not been vaccinated before performing Umrah. The Kubang Kerian MP posted details of his vaccination on Facebook this evening to dispel the rumours. This comes after independent preacher Abu Shafiq slammed Religious Affairs Minister Idris Ahmad after the past leader urged the authorities to investigate and take action against Abu Shafiq for allegedly bringing unvaccinated pilgrims to perform Umrah in Saudi Arabia. In a video posted on social media, Abu Shafiq said Idris should also be careful in making any statement on the matter. This is because, according to Abu Shafiq, there were also individuals in the government who performed the Umrah without being vaccinated. Meanwhile, Tuan Ibrahim said he received his first and second doses of the Pfizer vaccine in March and April 2021, respectively. The past Deputy President said he had also received his booster shot on November 2nd last year.
Now we have a message from our sponsor. When we're back, UMNO has decided when they're going to hold their next annual assembly.
Pening, tangan dan kaki kebas, letih. Ini mungkin tanda peredaran darah kurang baik. Cubalah Thomson Activated Ginkgo dengan teknologi aktivasi dari Jepun yang menghancurkan ginkgo biloba dan melekat pada dinding usus untuk penyerapan lebih baik bagi membantu memperbaiki peredaran darah. Kawalan kualiti memastikan ia mudah larut dengan daun muda ginkgo dari Jepun. Untuk peredaran darah yang lebih baik, cubalah Thomson Activated Ginkgo. Ini adalah Medifax untuk Thomson.
UMNO has set the stage for its next annual assembly, and this time it's going to be physical.
After being postponed on several occasions, the UMNO 2021 General Assembly is finally set to take place on March 16th to the 19th. In a statement, Party Secretary General Ahmad Mazlan said the decision was made at a Supreme Council meeting chaired by UMNO President Ahmad Zaid Hamidi last night. The event was previously scheduled to be held from January 13th to the 15th, but was postponed in response to severe flooding last month. The launch of the assembly for the party's women, youth and Putri wings will be held on March 16th. The President's policy speech will be delivered on March 18th during the launch of the UMNO General Assembly, while the assembly itself will be held on March 19th. The 2021 UMNO Assembly will not be held in a hybrid fashion. This means all 14 delegates from each party division will be invited to attend. Ahmad added that all 5 delegates from each wing will also attend the upcoming General Assembly. However, he said SOPs will still need to be followed in terms of distancing, masking and use of Mysajatra and sanitizers.
Most people entering the country will need to be quarantined unless you fit the following criteria.
Those infected with COVID-19 and have completed their vaccination will not need to undergo quarantine upon entering the country, according to Health Minister Kari Jamaluddin. However, they are still required to take the RTK antigen test at international checkpoints. Kari added that travellers who have not completed their vaccination will still need to undergo a 7-day compulsory quarantine upon arrival in the country, on top of taking a COVID-19 test. He said the decision was based on scientific data and evidence, as well as the experience of other countries on managing the entry of travellers who had been infected with COVID-19 before. The latest standard operating procedure for travellers with a history of COVID-19 infection comes into effect today. He said Malaysia is still practicing border control procedures, including testing and quarantine.
Soon you'll be able to buy 2 types of COVID-19 vaccines privately at a price capped by the government.
The government today announced the ceiling price for the sale of 2 different COVID-19 vaccines in the private market. They are Sinovac and Sinopharm. In a joint statement, Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin and Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Minister Alexander Nantalingi announced that the ceiling prices will come into effect from January 15th. Both ministers said these prices exclude possible additional charges imposed by administrators. The maximum wholesale price for Sinovac's CoronaVac vaccine is 62 ringgit per dose, with a maximum retail price of 77 ringgit per dose. Meanwhile, the maximum wholesale price for Sinopharm's vaccine is 49 ringgit per dose, with a maximum retail price of 61 ringgit per dose. The ministers also said administrators must be upfront about the vaccine prices by displaying it to the public.
In the future, Malaysia may not need as many foreign labourers in the plantation sector. However, that's still a long way to go.
In the next 5 years, the government plans to reduce the country's dependency on foreign labour. Eventually, it plans to replace foreign labour with automation and mechanization. However, that's the future. Currently, Malaysia is in government-to-government talks with India, Bangladesh and Thailand to bring more foreign workers into the local plantation industry. This is according to Plantation Industries and Commodities Minister Zuraida Kamarudin. She said Indonesia has already approved the entry of 32,000 Indonesians by the middle of February this year, after Malaysia settled some technical issues with its government. She said salary wouldn't be an issue because the minimum wage is 1,200 ringgit and on average the palm oil workers are earning almost double that amount.
And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook for the latest news updates. If you'd like to support independent media, do consider subscribing to MalaysiaKini.com. I'm Prasad, thank you for watching.